Hello, welcome to another WP Quickies series where we do WordPress topics in 30 minutes or less. Today we are going to talk about WordPress Multisites, also known as WPMU. So welcome everyone. Leave a comment down below in the chat just to let me know who's online, and also if you can hear me properly. I don't want to be talking if I'm muted. Everything looks okay. That's great. Okay. I'll just give everyone a minute or so just to get online, and then we'll jump into Multisite. So today's topic, it was actually suggested by Paul Pierpoint. I hope I've got your name right, Paul. So thanks for that. I think it's a great topic. And I don't think we see enough information on Multisite, really. Alan, good to have you on board again. Alan's a regular that tunes in at lunchtimes. Julia, I hope I've got your name right this time. Thanks for tuning in. And Paul as well. Paul's another one of our regulars for the WP Quickies. Thank you guys for taking the time to join in over lunchtime. We're going to continue this WP Quickies series for quite a while. I've got some scheduled to the end of this month and then to the end of August. And I think the last week of August, I think I'm going to schedule a Zoom chat. So it's something to look forward to. So rather than me doing a presentation, we're going to get together in a Zoom chat and just kind of chat over lunch. It'd be good to see you guys and to hear your voices. So yeah, we can chat about anything. So have a think about some topics, some things that you want to chat away at the end of August. And yeah, I think that'll be a good one. Okay, let's get cracking with this multi-site. So I'll go through the prezzo and then we'll circle back to do some questions in the comments. So if you've got any questions, please leave them below in the comments and I'll get round to them at the end. But first, before you do that, if you haven't done already, hit the subscribe button and ding that bell, and that'll notify you when we next broadcast some videos on this channel. Okay, so we're going to have a very high-level overview of WordPress Multisite, because this is a quickie, so we're not going to do a deep dive. So these are some of the topics that we're just going to dive into today, just to get to know what Multisite is and maybe what it can do if you haven't come across that particular topic before. Okay, so let's kick off. So what is Multisite? Well, Multisite is a kind of a special installation of WordPress, and it allows you to create a whole network of sites, all controlled from your single WordPress admin dashboard. And I think that's what makes it really attractive, is that you don't have to go out to all these different sites and manage themes and plugin updates all the time. You've got them all in this kind of single area that you can manage, which is good. So you can create a network of sites for yourself or allow others to create their own sites within that network. So sites in the network, they share themes, they share plugins, and by default, they share users. However, they do have a separate media folder. So what I mean by shared users, and we'll maybe cover that a little bit later on, is that by default, when you register a multi-site, then all the users get access to all the sites within that. But we'll have a look at that a little bit later on. So let's just go into a little bit further. So as a network admin, you can control which sites get access to plugins and themes. You essentially become a super admin, which is awesome. So as a super admin, you can control, obviously, the different sites within your network. You can control the user base, you can control the themes and the plugins and which sites get access to which ones. And you can also restrict what other users can do within the network if you need a greater control. But let's have a look at when to use and when not to use multi-site, because this is probably one of the bigger decisions that you're going to make. And it's a question when we've done multi-site before in the meetups, it's a question that usually comes up, is to really understand when to use it and when not to use multi-site. Okay, multi-sites they're useful if you need to create a collection of sites that have a similar functionality. So we're talking about similar themes and similar plugins. So let's give a couple of examples. Just say you are in the real estate industry and you're creating websites for real estate agents. Now you'll know that industry very well, and you'll know what sort of things they need to have on their website. They're going to have lots of images, so they'll need a gallery plugin, maybe like obviously contact forms, maybe some way to handle PDF files for the brochure layout. All those sort of things, they're going to be similar between all the individual real estate agents that you do websites for. So you could create a multi-site and host all those different websites all together in that one multi-site. And that would mean they all share the same plugins, the same gallery plugins, the same contact, the same PDF stuff. And it just allows you to manage that network really closely, and be able just to update plugins once, and then that reflects that functionality all the way through all those sites. So multi-site works really well for industries and niche verticals, where, as I say, the functionality is very similar for each site. Another example that I know people are using multi-site in are schools and universities. So I know many local authorities who manage their school websites and their university websites using a WordPress multi-site. And that allows them to create microsites for all the different faculties within the schools and within university structure. Because, at the end of the day, when you're in a niche, they're all using pretty much the same functionality, right? So WordPress multi-site works really well in those vertical niches. So conversely, when not to use multi-site, well, it's pretty much the opposite of what I've just said. So don't use multi-site if you know that each site is going to need a completely different set of functionality. So we're talking like different plugins, different themes, different user interactions. It's not going to work for multi-site. Well, it will, but you're not going to get the advantages of using a multi-site where you can share themes and share plugins and just update them once. So by that, I mean, don't create a multi-site for a blog, an e-commerce shop, a membership site, and a business website, all within that same multi-site. You're going to lose all the benefits of having network managed plugins and themes when you're starting to have to install all these different plugins for all these different sites within your network. You're just going to lose all those benefits of multi-site. Another thing to consider as well is the frequency of having to move or relocate websites within a multi-site. So getting a single site out of multi-site is a bit of a pain because they all kind of share similar tables within the database. It can be done, but it's not something you want to be doing on a frequent basis. So have a think about if the sites that you are developing for your clients or your industry, if they're having to move them regularly, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever regular means to you, the multi-site probably isn't the best tool, because it is going to be a real pain in the bum to try and get those sites out of the big multi-site. So again, just to recap, use multi-site when you've got a bunch of websites that have very similar features. You're going to get all the benefits of being able to update a plugin once, and then that reflects through all the other websites. And don't use multi-site if you've got a bunch of websites that have totally different competing functionality, because you're going to lose all those benefits of having that kind of shared resource to be able to update once and reflect stuff out. Another question I get asked quite frequently is, can multi-sites scale? Or to put it another way, can WordPress scale? And yes, absolutely it can. In fact, the best example of WordPress multi-site being used is WordPress.com. WordPress.com, it hosts millions of websites on the WordPress VIP network, and they are all multi-sites. Probably the vast majority of the websites are just kind of blog, but yes, they do have e-commerce sites in there. But in general, all the plugins are shared under the WordPress multi-site network admin. and it's just updated once, and they reflect all the way through the different sites. So can multi-site scale? Yes, it can, because WordPress can. You just throw more web servers and you throw more databases at it, more resources, and WordPress can scale. It's a great example, WordPress.com. So certainly, if you've got any issues, if you think you're going to have like 1,000 websites on multi-site, yep, that's no problem. It's probably going to cost you a bit for hosting, but yeah, it can work, and it will work. Okay, so when you are installing your WordPress multi-site, when you go through the setup, you're first going to be asked, if it's a brand new installation, you're first going to be asked, do you want to install all your sites on a subdomain or a subdirectory? And this question is kind of fiercely debated in the industry, or has been fiercely debated over the past 3 or 4 years since multi-site's been available. So for those that don't know, subdomain is, for example, blog.mydomain.com, like blog1 blog2 blog3 mydomain. And subdirectory is, of course, just installing sites on a subdirectory. So for example, you'd have mydomain.com/site1/site2/site3. And people have been debating whether to use a subdomain or a subdirectory for years, and really which one is the best. So I'm going to just cut right to the chase and tell you that subdirectories are the best choice. Okay, the reasons are that subdomains, well, they're just really time consuming. They're difficult to work with, and they actually can take longer for Google to index, and they require mucking around with DNS and SSL certificates. In fact, multi-site on a subdomain, you can install separate plugins on a subdomain, which you can't, well, which you can't really do with a subdirectory because they're all network activated. So really, where's the benefit of using multi-site if all your sites are running subdomains and have all these different plugins? I really don't get it. So I think subdirectory is the best way to go because it's really easy to install. You get all the benefits of managing your themes and plugins, and they all just update and network activate out to all your different sites. Whereas if you're going down the subdomain, then you're going to muck around with DNS, and a lot of people they're not really confident with DNS and how to update it, or even where the DNS lives. And it's an awful lot of work setting up wildcards for SSL certificates, SSL certificates for each subdomain as well. Whereas if they're in a subdirectory, well, subdirectory is part of the domain, and you only have to do that stuff once. So one SSL certificate. Yep, so I'm going to call it. I'm going to say that subdirectories are the way to go with multi-site. And anyway, if you're using external client domains, then they're going to have a domain mapping to that site anyway. So they're going to have their own domain name that maps to your mydomain.com/site1. So once they've got that mapped, then it's pretty irrelevant because, as far as the front end user and as far as Google is concerned, it's just going to hit that domain name, and all the page URLs under that, are going to be with that external domain name. So really, subdomain versus subdirectory, it's really a no-brainer if you're doing domain mapping anyway. And talking about domain mapping, I don't have a slide for that. But when you are creating all your sites within your one multi-site, then it is built into WordPress Multisite now as of version 4 or 4.5. You don't need a plugin to do this. So you can map any external domain name, so yourdomainname.com, to a site. And you do that within the multi-site WordPress dashboard. It's just as easy as going into the settings, typing the external URL that you want to use, clicking save, and then that's it mapped. So as long as you've got your DNS pointing to that machine, then WordPress will do all that sort of stuff for you. Okay, so we've done subdomain versus subdirectory. Go subdirectory, definitely. So quickly, how do you set up multi-site? Well, it's fairly easy. It's a normal WordPress install. You don't have to download a separate product. So it's your normal WordPress. Download it from wordpress.org. All you need to do is go into the wp-config.php file, which is the WordPress main configuration. And right at the top, add those 2 lines on this slide. So that, well, in fact, you don't have to use the 2 lines, just use that one that says define. The other one's just a comment. So define WP underscore allow underscore multisite is true. Save that, and then go back into your dashboard, refresh the screen, and then you go down to tools and then network setup. So multisite is all within the WordPress core. So you don't need to you don't need to download a separate product or separate plugins. It's all within core, ready and waiting to get activated. So once you've done that and you go into tools and network setup, you'll see this screen or something similar. If you've already got an existing website up and running that you've already installed, and then you decide to set up Multisite, then you don't get the choice of subdomain or subdirectory. If it's a brand new website that you're installing, you've not installed the database yet, you've not went through the setup routine, you've added that network stuff to the WP config. When you go into tools and network setup, you will have the choice whether to use subdomains or subdirectory. So if you really want to do subdomains, then you need to do a fresh install of WordPress before setting up Multisite. Otherwise, it just defaults to subdirectory, which is this case here on this slide. You'll see it's very simple. You put in the network title, your network admin email address, because it makes you the super admin. You click on install, it takes like a second, and then you get this page up here. And it's basically telling you to put some more stuff into the wp-config.php file. And that's going to handle all the mappings between the sites and the directories or subdomains. Let's just get rid of subdomain, the directories that all your sites are located in. So that's one thing to do. The second thing to do is adding stuff to your .htaccess file. .htaccess, that is for Apache, and it basically tells Apache how to rewrite the URLs, how to map the URLs to all those directories that the individual sites are going to lie in. So you can copy and paste that into your htaccess file, refresh, and that'll be your multi-site up and running. If you're using Nginx, which I've been using for many years, all you need to do a Google, do Nginx, rewrite rules, WordPress Multisite, and you'll come up with the WordPress.org help pages, the documentation, and they've got server and rewrite rules for Nginx that you can just copy and paste into your different servers, and Nginx will work with Multisite. So it's a really easy setup, and that's it. Once that's done, and that's like a one-time thing, then that's you ready to go with your to set up all your individual sites. So I'm not going to I've not got a demo today, unfortunately. Just got a few screenshots here. I guess then the first thing after you've done all that setup is you want to go and install all your plugins that you need for all these sites, and you need to network activate them. So there's kind of two ways to think about these websites. So within your admin, you'll be able to, you can see the dashboard there. You can actually, under My Sites, become the network admin. So that's where you want to go first. It's network admin, and that goes to the network admin dashboard, where you can install themes and plugins. And then there's a special button that you click. It says network activate, and that means that those plugins and themes are available to the network of sites, all sites. So if you don't network activate them, when you go into the individual sites, you won't see those plugins. So very important thing to do is to make sure the plugins that you want those sites to be able to use are activated on the network. And then for updating them, you go into your My Sites, network admin, plugins, and update them once, and then that updates them all throughout the site, because there's only really the one plugin directory install. So all the websites will pick up from that. Okay, I've got a few helper plugins here that I think are invaluable if you're going to be using the multi-site. I use them on a couple of my multi-sites I've got for client verticals. Okay. One is called Network Subsite User Registration. It's a bit of a mouthful. Let me copy the link and I'll put it in the comments down below. There we go. Okay. So by default, when you've configured WordPress Multisite and enabled user registrations, when a user registers on that network, they can access all the sites on that network. So it's handy if you think about the example I gave for example, for universities or schools. You only really want one student to sign up and then they get access to all these different microsites. So that's a great thing to have. However, there's other instances where you might have client sites on there. For example, if you're hosting sites within a particular vertical, you obviously don't want other users to access other clients' websites. So this helper plugin will do that for you. It basically allows you to say user registrations are only allowed per website or throughout the entire multi-site. So this plugin here, it will allow you to just allow registrations per particular site. So really, really handy if you're running client websites. The next one is user synchronization. So this is kind of run in tandem with the first plugin scenario. So if you don't want users to have access to all the sites, if you've got client sites there you want to keep private. But however, maybe you have a couple of sites for one client. Okay, maybe you've got like a main site and maybe a courses site or a shop site or something like that. This plugin here, user synchronization, it allows you to specify which users have access to which sites within the multi-site. So the blanket ban on, you don't want everyone to access all the sites, but you just want some users to access some sites. And this plugin here will help with that. The next plugin, the last plugin, I think, in this is user roles. Now, this is quite an old plugin. Old, by old, I mean it's a bit out of date, hasn't been updated in a couple of years. But that's okay, it's still safe. Sometimes some of these plugins that are out of date are okay because they only really do one thing. And, you know, unless WordPress changes the way it handles user roles, then, you know, the developer doesn't need to update it. So this allows you to manage multi-site user roles. So for example, you might want to make someone else, maybe a VA, a virtual assistant, a super admin, so they can go and update the plugins for you. So this is going to allow you to assign different roles to different users within your multi-site. So think about membership sites where you've got a teacher, a lecturer, maybe you've got a grader and a student, or an e-commerce shop where you've got a shop manager, you've got a stock manager. So being able to assign different roles to different users within the multi-site context is really helpful. So this plugin will certainly help you out with that. So I think those are kind of three invaluable plugins that you're going to need, I think, if you're going to run multi-site, certainly with client access for those. So is multi-site right for you? Well, that's really a question that you need to answer. Have a think about what I've covered today, whether you've got a group of websites that are got similar functionality, whether you want to reduce your admin by being able to update plugins and themes just once, whether you've got a good niche or a vertical that you want to install with those, or if you want to host websites as well. It's a real good idea to host them on a multi-site because it's just less time and less setup and less admin for you to manage all those different sites. So have a think. Let me know if you guys are going to try a multi-site or if you've already got a multi-site running. And that's it. If you've got any questions about multi-site, add them in the comments below and I'll try and circle around to those. Just quickly, next week, I'm going to be doing client dashboards. So just a real basic intro to how you can build a really simple client dashboard. So when somebody logs in, it redirects them to a page where they can get some of their details from. So we're not going to go right down the whole membership route, just really, really simple, how you can redirect logins, how you can create a page for your client dashboard. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, tune in next week. And yeah, please suggest a lunchtime topic that I can cover. So as I said, I've got some scheduled up until August, but I'm always looking for more topics. So please, if you've got a topic, fill out that form. Link there's a QR code, and there's a link in the description of the video down below to the form, and you'll be able to suggest a new topic. So please do that. That will be great. Here's me. If you want to contact me, please do hit me up on LinkedIn. And add a little note to say that you're watching the quickies and connect with me, and that'd be great. I've got my Instagram and my Twitter feed as well if you want to connect with me there. So let's see if there's any questions. Let's see. We've got Joey tuned in, and we've got Mr. Meowpoos, Daniel. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Regulars there, which is great. Okay, a question from Clario. If a plugin update breaks some of the sites that are in the multi-site, is there a way of dealing with that? Well, you would approach that just as if you'd approaching a single website. The thing with multi-site is if you've got websites that are relying, similar websites in your multi-sites that's relying on one plugin, if that update does break, then you're going to see a break across all the websites. So you're going to treat that in exactly the same way as you would a single site. So you would have a staging or a development server up and running, update the plugins there, go and check the site. You probably need to check one or two sites, because if they've all got the same functionality, then you can be pretty assured that if one site has this bug, all of them, or if one site or two sites working, then they're all working. So again, deal with it the same way as you would with a single website. Is do a staging development server copy, update it there, have a look at the front end websites. Is it okay? Is it broken? Is it not broken? If it has, then you need to put in steps to either contact the developer, the plugin developer, or try and put debugging on to figure out exactly what the plugin is doing wrong, if there's any conflicts or there. So yeah, thanks, Claire. That's a good question. Any more? Paul. Are there any security concerns or implications for multi-site? I think you're probably coming at it, Paul, from the point of view of having all those websites together. So if someone gets hacked, can you access all the websites? And again, yes, I mean, WordPress is only as secure as you make it. So I would always recommend, if you're a network admin, a super admin, that you put some sort of two-factor authentication onto your login, onto those logins. So two-factor authentication, for those people who don't know what that is, you've got your username and password as normal for WordPress, and then you've got something else, like a code from your phone. So I've got Google Authenticator on my phone just now. I probably won't show you the codes because it's got all the stuff. I'll do it quickly like that so you can't see it. So whenever I log into my websites, it prompts me for this third security, which is on my phone. So the whole idea behind that is that somebody else doesn't have my phone, so they can't enter that code, so it's nice and safe. So yeah, make sure you choose good usernames, really complex passwords, and put in some two-factor authentication. And you should be good secure from the login point from there. Obviously, it goes without saying, you need to update all your themes and plugins regularly. Probably weekly at the very least, just to make sure there's no security exploits. Because yes, again, if one plugin can be exploited, then that means somebody's going to get access to all those websites. So yes, there are security concerns for multi-site, but they're the same concerns that you would have for a normal single website. As far as I'm aware, there's no particular security concerns just for the multi-site part of WordPress. But thanks, Paul. That's a great question. Julia, how difficult is it to move from single site to multi-user? It is really easy. Going the other way is really difficult, but if you've got an existing website just now, it is as simple as those setups I went through on the slide. You put the code in, the wp-config.php, you go into Tools, Network Setup, press Setup, copy those files, copy those lines into your htaccess and your wp-config.php, and you have transformed your single site into the first network admin site. So your website will be the main site, So it will have like the main themes, the main plugins, and then any sites you create under that, they'll be in the subdirectories of your main site. So it's really, really simple to do. Just follow those like three steps, and you've transformed your single site into a multi-site. So yeah, that's great. Great question. Thanks for that, Julia. Any other questions? Pop them down below. If not, then I think we'll close up. We're right on 1:30. No more questions. That's good. It was a brief overview, a really high level overview. If you guys maybe want to me to show you a little bit more about WordPress multi-site, then yeah, you can let me know in the topics forum. Yeah, just let me know if you want to cover that in a little bit more detail. But yeah, that is WordPress multi-site. Please go out, have a try, have a play around. It's really cool. Yeah, and just go for it. So thank you guys very, very much for tuning in over lunchtime. It's really appreciated. It's good to chat to you guys and to have you on board. And I will see you at this time next week. So thank you very much, guys. See ya.